Hi, my name's Anna and I'm a first year medical student, which is important for two reasons. Firstly, I want to make it abundantly clear that I am not an authority in any way on COVID-19, like at all. And the second reason is because, like most students, I spend way too much time on social media, which is kind of the premise behind this video. So as you've probably heard, Facebook ends up on the news a lot because of the amount of fake news that circulates on the platform. And I was scrolling on Facebook the other day and came across a video which was most likely fake news, but this one really triggered me. So I thought I'd record this little video exposing it as my own little counterattack. So I'm just gonna watch this video and break it down a little bit. Let's get started.
My name is Dr. Johan Dennis from Belgium.
I want to stop already. This guy, I did actually try and Google him, and he was incredibly hard to find. He does not exist. His name is not on any papers, nothing. Also, you'll see by his name it says that he's a homeopath. And for anyone that doesn't know, the NHS says that homeopathy is a treatment based on the use of highly diluted substances which practitioners claim can cause the body to heal itself. The NHS website also says that there's no good evidence to support that homeopathy is an effective treatment for any illness, and that the principles behind homeopathy are scientifically implausible.
The corona vaccine is not proven safe or effective. There is no medical emergency. It is a fake pandemic. The coronavirus is, in terms of harmfulness, mortality and transmissibility, comparable to a seasonal flu.
Okay, so I'm just going to go right ahead and ignore the fact that he said that coronavirus is a fake pandemic. What I do want to talk about is the suggestion that the coronavirus is the same in terms of mortality, transmissibility and harmfulness as a normal seasonal flu. Now, this is something that I've heard quite a lot as well, and honestly they have pretty similar symptoms. I can see why they'd be compared. So I did some research and I came across a pretty useful resource which is fact-checked on healthline.com, and I will link that below. And I also found a paper from the Journal of the American Medical Association. The JAMA is a highly respected journal. It's peer-reviewed, which basically means that they can't publish whatever they like. It has to be read and approved and checked by other experts in the field. Anyway, this paper said that flu and COVID deaths are not reported in the same way at all. So most of the time, seasonal flu deaths will be reported as an estimation, whereas COVID deaths are confirmed cases. So when the study broke down the statistics, the confirmed COVID deaths compared to the confirmed flu deaths in a peak week in the USA for seasonal flu, it found that COVID deaths were anywhere from 10 to 44 times higher than the flu death. There are lots of other reasons why COVID is different from the seasonal flu. Several of those are cited in that Healthline article I was talking about. Let's keep watching.
And I can only reject the extreme, disproportionate measures that are taken by our governments. There is no emergency situation. It was all orchestrated to make you fearful enough to take the vaccine. This vaccine is just not proven safe. It has been developed too quickly.
This is actually something that was bothering me too, the speed at which the vaccine came about. This vaccine came about much faster than we'd usually expect. I couldn't really work out why that would be the case. So I did a bit of Googling. This is what I found. I've heard a lot of talk and a lot of suggestions that the way they were able to make this vaccine come out so quickly was just by skipping various trial phases. But the BBC recently published a resource which actually explained how this wasn't what happened, basically. They published this image, which helps make it pretty clear, but I'll just explain it briefly. So there are various set phases in vaccine development. First they tested animals, and then they tested more and more and more people until it is approved as safe, as effective, at which point they mass produce the vaccine and can give it to everybody that needs it. However, in the case of COVID, the stakes were pretty high and governments all over the world wanted to get rid of this virus as quickly as possible. So what they did is they put the vaccine through all of the stages, but when they reached phase 3, which is when you're testing in thousands and thousands of people, they decided to mass produce the vaccine. Now at this point, the vaccine hadn't actually been approved. We didn't know whether it was going to be proven safe and effective, but the governments decided to take a risk. Now, if the vaccine had been proved to be dangerous or not effective in any way, then the government would have lost out on a huge amount of money. I don't know exactly, but it wouldn't have been good. As it happens, the drug was proven to be effective, and the end result was the fact that we already had lots of vaccine locked, loaded and ready to go, which meant that it could be doled out to the public immediately as soon as it was declared safe. And that means that we've had the vaccine much faster than we'd usually see. Let's listen to what Dr. Dennis has to say now.
We have no idea what the long-term effects will be. It needs much more investigation. There is no hurry or emergency. It might possibly change your DNA.
This vaccine is not changing your DNA. It's just not how it works. The Pfizer vaccine is what we call an mRNA vaccine. Basically, all it is a tiny, tiny bit of the virus's genetic code, which you can view as a kind of instruction manual. And we basically send this instruction manual to the cells in our body, which reads it and learns how to build COVID immunity.
There is nanotechnology present in this vaccine. Nanobots in hydrogels have been developed for military purposes. There are strong indications it could make you a controllable puppet by means of your own smartphone, connected with a 5G network and artificial intelligence. In this way, you could lose everything that makes you human.
So when I first watched this video, this section, I was like, that doesn't sound right. I believe that people don't just come up with this stuff from nowhere. So I did a bit of investigation to try and work out where on earth this information came from. And this is all I could come up with. Firstly, I think it's really important to understand that nano is just a measurement. So just like a centimetre or a metre, a nanometer is just a really, 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 really small measure of distance. So when we say nanotechnology, all it is really tiny science. I read an article in Nature, which is another scientific journal, and they basically said that viruses are nanoscale objects and therefore can be regarded as naturally occurring nanomaterials, which is pretty cool. Basically, all that means is viruses are already so small that we can consider them as naturally occurring nanotech. This doesn't really explain the nanobots in hydrogel that the lovely Dr. Dennis is on about. So I went back to Nature, and they said that the Pfizer vaccine is actually being delivered in lipid nanomolecules. So first off, I want to just explain what that is exactly. So lipids are literally just molecules that can't dissolve into water, so fats. Like when you have a really greasy pan after cooking, and no matter how much water you put on it, it's just not coming off until you add all of the fairy liquid. Yeah, that's a lipid. And like I said before, a nanomolecule is literally just a really small thing. So all a lipid nanomolecule is a tiny ball of fat. But why are we putting tiny balls of fat in our vaccines? Like I said before, the Pfizer vaccine is an mRNA vaccine. So you've got that tiny little instruction manual that you need to deliver safely to your cells. Now, if you just injected this straight into the body, it wouldn't get to its destination. But you can view the lipid nanomolecule as essentially a very tiny taxi. So we put the mRNA strand inside this molecule, deliver it into the body, and it goes to the cells that it needs to, and the mRNA can do its work here and teach your body how to make COVID immunity.
So please inform yourself well before you decide.
Finally, we agree on something. Inform yourself. Do your reading. The mainstream media doesn't tell us everything we need to know a lot of the time. There are really good resources out there, as I've been talking about, journals, peer-reviewed, things that are fact-checked. Feel free to disagree with me. I've probably made mistakes in this video, but look at the reliability of your sources. Please do not rely on social media and Facebook.
Very useful information can be found on the website of Robert Kennedy, childrenshealthdefense.org. I bless you all.
I did give him the benefit of the doubt. I looked up this website. Unfortunately, this website sends out a lot of anti-vaccination propaganda and is constantly in the press for miseducating the public. Thank you so much for watching this video. Unlike Dr. Dennis, I am going to link all of the sources that I used, so you can follow my train of thought. You can call me out if I'm wrong, if I misunderstood, if I misread. Like I said at the very beginning, I am not an expert. I am just a girl with a computer. Stay safe, share this video, and wear a mask, please.